The galactic trade station hummed with the usual chaos of 1,000 species conducting business, but Mark Chen had learned to tune most of it out. What he couldn't ignore were the two furry weights perched on his shoulders, their tiny claws digging through his jacket as they chittered excitedly at every passing alien. "Blaze, stop pulling my hair," Mark muttered, reaching up to gently relocate the small Vacrian cub from the top of his head back to his left shoulder. The cub's crystalline eyes sparkled with mischief as he immediately tried to climb back up. His companion, a slightly smaller cub named Ember, sat more contentedly on Mark's right shoulder, her tail wrapped loosely around his neck for balance. Both cubs were no bigger than Earth house cats, covered in sleek midnight blue fur with bioluminescent stripes that pulsed gently in the station's artificial lighting. To most species in the galaxy, Vacrians were apex predators, 8-foot-tall killing machines with retractable claws that could slice through titanium and jaw strength capable of crushing bone. Their homeworld was a death trap of competing super predators, and Vacrians sat firmly at the top of that nightmarish food chain, which made Mark's current situation absolutely absurd. "I still don't understand how this happened," muttered Kessa, his Zentari business partner, her forearms gesturing in exasperation as she walked beside him. Her skin flickered through various shades of worried purple. "Do you have any idea what you're carrying? Two very cute, very sleepy baby Vacrians?" Mark offered, earning an affectionate chirp from Ember, who nuzzled against his cheek. "Cute?" Kessa's eye stalks retracted in disbelief. "Mark, those cute babies will grow into the most feared predators in known space. Their parents could dismantle a battle cruiser with their bare claws. And yet here you are wearing them like fashion accessories." Mark shrugged carefully, mindful of his passengers. What was I supposed to do? Their parents needed someone to watch them during the trade negotiations. Ambassador Rykar said they'd been fussy all morning and wouldn't settle down. So naturally they asked the human. Kessa said flatly, "Well, yeah." "And it worked, didn't it?" It had worked almost too well. The moment Ambassador Rykar had placed the cubs near Mark, they'd practically launched themselves at him, scrambling up his body with enthusiastic chirps and settling onto his shoulders like they'd found their favorite perch in the universe. The massive Vacrian ambassador had stared in stunned silence for a full minute, before her rumbling laugh had shaken the entire diplomatic suite. "This is why the Council fears your species," she'd said, amusement and something like respect in her voice. "Nothing in the galaxy makes sense when humans are involved." Now, as they approached the high-security checkpoint leading to the diplomatic sector, Mark could see the confusion spreading through the guards like a visible wave. A Hargesh security officer, all scales and efficient brutality, raised one clawed hand, signaling them to stop. "Credentials," the guard growled, his translator crackling. Mark reached slowly into his jacket, very aware that sudden movements around security were never wise. Blaze chose that exact moment to lean forward and hiss curiously at the guard, tiny teeth bared in what might have been a smile, but looked decidedly threatening. The Hargesh guard's scales rippled with alarm. His hand moved to his plasma pistol. "What are those?" "Vacrian cubs," Mark said calmly, producing his diplomatic pass. "They're with me." "I can see they're with you," the guard snapped. His eyes darted to his supervisor, a four-armed Quilian who was already striding over. "But are they cleared?" The supervisor's expression cycled through confusion, alarm, and disbelief in rapid succession. "Those are Vacrian juveniles, predator-class beings. They require Class A containment and armed escorts for station transit." "They're babies," Mark protested. Ember chose that moment to yawn, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth, which didn't help his case. "See? Sleepy babies. Babies that could tear through your throat in seconds," the Quilian said. "But they won't," Mark replied with absolute certainty. "Will you, Blaze, Ember?" Both cubs chirped reassuringly, Blaze even going so far as to lick Mark's ear affectionately, which tickled. The supervisor stared at this display with the expression of someone whose universe had just tilted sideways. "This is highly irregular. Ambassador Rykar cleared this." The cub's mother, Kessa, interjected, showing her own credentials. She personally entrusted them to Mark's care during the summit. Their mother gave them to a human? The supervisor's translator actually stuttered. "Vacrians don't allow other species near their young. They've killed diplomatic envoys for less." Mark felt Blaze tense slightly on his shoulder and reached up to gently scritch behind the cub's ears. The little Vacrian immediately relaxed, purring like a miniature engine. Yeah, well, apparently humans are different, and they were. It had taken the galaxy nearly a decade after first contact to understand why. Humans occupied a strange middle ground in galactic consciousness. Not prey, not predator, but something stubbornly in between. Persistence hunters who'd evolved to outlast their food through sheer relentless endurance. Pack animals who'd domesticated wolves not through domination, but partnership. A species whose evolutionary strategy was apparently befriend everything and see what happens. The galaxy's predators found them fascinating. The prey species found them terrifying. Everyone found them confusing. Look, Mark said reasonably. I have to get these two to the ambassador's suite before the summit resumes. They're cranky when they miss their nap, and trust me, you don't want cranky Vacrian cubs loose in the station, so either you clear us through or you explain to Ambassador Rykar why her cubs are upset. The supervisor and the guard exchanged glances. Dealing with an angry Vacrian ambassador was absolutely not in anyone's job description. Fine, the Quilian said finally, stepping aside. But if those cubs cause any incidents, it's on your head. Understood, Mark said cheerfully, walking through the checkpoint. Blaze and Ember chirped victoriously. Behind them, Kessa whispered, You know they'll be telling this story for years, right? The human who carried predator cubs through high security like pets. Mark grinned. Good. Maybe it'll help with the whole humans or space orcs reputation. We're not that scary. We just make friends with things that are. Blaze chose that moment to sneeze, a tiny puff of flame erupting from his nostrils and singeing Mark's hair. Ember chittered with laughter. Mostly friends, Mark amended, patting the smoldering spot on his head. We mostly make friends. From the security checkpoint, both guards watched the human disappear into the diplomatic sector, two apex predators riding contentedly on his shoulders like the universe's most dangerous parrots. I need a drink, the Hargesh muttered. His supervisor could only nod in agreement. Humans, he said, as if that single word explained everything. Somehow it did.